Miss Speh, do you know anything about the Crucible or the book, you know?
No.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
What do you know about the Salem witch hunting?
I know that there has been an hypothesis that they're hanging out with a slave called Tituba. I keep looking at you. And why do I have to... Can you move over there? Now I can look at you? Oh, great. Anyway, and so there's like this slave called Tituba, and these girls were hanging out with her, and all of a sudden they start to scream that they're being pinched, they're being poked, they start to like do really random flexible positions, but it was like really unnatural looking. It looked like it would pain them, but they just like start contortioning into different things. And so it starts when these girls start to accuse people of being a witch, and later 26 people are killed over it. There's more than that die, but in the town of Salem, 26 people are put to death.
Do you think it's wrong what they did to the people they accused of being witches?
That they just tried them and hung them?
That they just tried them and hung them?
I think that a lot of the evidence was just accusations. There was no solid proof, because you can't really prove... Well, you can prove it, but I mean, I don't know. Anyway, can you edit that out? Anyway, you're like putting me on the spot. I just think it was wrong that there was no separation of church and state at that time, and so the government was very much church-oriented, and so you have this whole Puritan and Pilgrims that hate each other, and if you weren't a Puritan, they were out to get you anyway.
Right.
And so Tituba, she's not a Puritan, she's a slave, and she's the first one that is accused, and so she's...
Why do you think she was the first one accused?
Probably because she was a slave, and her culture... Yeah, well,
that's true. That's what it says.
But I mean, like, her culture would have been different than what the girls were used to growing up in New England area. And so when they go to ask her, well, what do you believe? She's been accused in history of practicing voodoo. And so to have that instead of Puritan Christianity would make a lot of people mad. And so they're like, well, hey, we'll get rid of the problem. We'll just kill her off.
Do you actually think that some of those people might have been witches? Or just like they were just freaked out about the whole thing?
I think... Let me think. Sorry. It could have been, but it's one of those, there's not enough evidence. All the evidence that we have now is very hearsay, which is just like, I saw them do this. It was never any proof of them doing it. It was just a bunch of teenage girls that were like, so-and-so did this. And all it took was saying, you're a witch, and they immediately were put on trial, and most of the trials ended in death. It wasn't an investigation. There wasn't, like, let's sit down and actually think about what they believe. It was just, it became like a media frenzy almost, where it was just like high emotions rolling. It just kept going and going and going.
I see.
What else do you want to know?
It's pretty good. Other question should I ask? Don't look at me, look at the camera.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's see.
Do I have to keep looking at the camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a good one. Do you think if you lived back in the 1600s, do you think they would accuse you for being a witch?
Probably.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because
Because you do weird things in the forest?
No.
Huh?
It's because women at that time were expected to be quiet and submissive, and you didn't ever like have a job outside the home that was being seen as disrespectful. I'm gonna look at Jordan because she's right there.
Just stay focused on Jordan.
But like women were expected to be in the home and quiet. Like you didn't question any of your husband's activities publicly. And for those of you who've had me in class, like I very much will say my opinion. And
that's very true.
You guys are allowed to state an opinion back to me. But in that time, if I would have been like, no, I think you're wrong to a man in public, or even tried to teach a man, like teachers weren't female at that time, they were mainly men. And so for a woman to even read and write, like that would have challenged everything in society. And they accused a lot of people of being witches or being possessed when they would challenge authority. And I would very much challenge authority.
So
you know.
We both lived back in the witch ages, and I asked you a question and you disagree with me. You think you would be accused of being a witch?
If you had enough power to make sure I was eliminated for
I would just hang you.
Yeah, see, there you go.
For accusing me.
So there you go.
Being wrong,
you could have been like, well, she's a witch. Because it didn't take any proof to prove that. It's just, well, if someone makes you look stupid in public.
Yeah.
Yeah, see? There you go. Or they used to take these rocks and they would stick them on you, and until you confessed to doing something wrong, they would continue to pile these rocks on, and you die of suffocation, but it takes about 5 to 8 days to die from it, so...
Yeah, there was one, if they would tie you to a log and throw you in a river, and if you sunk, that means you were human, but if you stay afloat, you're a witch.
And
so
either way, you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's BS. Just like that.
Okay, here's a question. If I lived back then, would you have killed me off for being a witch?
Yes, I would have.
Thank you.
I would have
I
I would have induced you, and you'd be dead
Thank
before
you.
dawn.
Thank you. And I would just be like, he's a witch. Really, it's him.
And they wouldn't believe you because I'm a man. They'd be like, he's a man, he must
But
not
some
be.
of the men were killed.
That's true, some of them were killed.
And it was a bunch of teenage girls.
Well, see, they
So there you go.
easily mistake you for a teenager.
It's true. And they
I
could just easily mistake you for, I don't know,
a man?
a man.
I'm a man's man,
I'm a
Speh.
man.
Well,
Is that it?
that's
What
all
do you
I
want?
need.
Okay.
Thank
Are
you.
you going to go back and be like, oh my gosh,